What I could do at this point, if I choose to, and I think I do, is I'll use the burnisher on my rings now. Make sure they're the proper size in case I made a miscalculation and need to use part of the sprue. So let's do that. This part, you're not going to be able to see much, but I'm just going to keep the video running so you have a sense of real time and how long this should take. For the insides of rings, I use my medium burnisher. How do you tell it's the medium burnisher? I brought you guys two types of burnishers. One is a fine burnisher. It's got very fine facets. The other is the medium burnisher. It's got coarser, wider facets. I always use the medium burnisher on the inside with few exceptions. One exception might be the ring is getting very close. I'm worried about it going over. It's got a curved surface on the inside. I'll use the fine one. In all other cases, I use the medium on the inside. Now, you can't see what I'm doing because my hands are inside the laser. However, I'm using my micromotor under magnification to basically paint the inside of the shank with the medium burnisher. What do I mean by paint? When you burnish something thoroughly, you can see it takes on a nice, uniform, scaled surface. It also takes on a shine. I make sure to go to edge, make sure I'm not tipping it in any way that might facet the inside. And I'm not being particularly aggressive with this, even though we're well short of the intended size, because it's soft and it's half round on the inside. And those tend to fly up the mandrel pretty quickly. So, all right, so I burnished that ring, the inside. It took me maybe 30 seconds to a minute, maybe a little less. What we'll do, you always sand off your burnishing before trying to nudge anything any further up the mandrel. Here's why. When you burnish a surface, you make it harder. In the case of the soft metal, significantly harder. You don't want to harden metal and then try to stretch it. That's the way cracking happens. Surface cracking, that sort of thing. All right, we can see we're very much closer. We're within a millimeter leading edge, and we haven't even straightened it yet. Okay, so one more round of rawhide mallet from edge to edge, and we're almost there. Do the other side. Okay, almost there. That is about how much I leave for the polishers. Reason being, if they come up with any pits on the inside, my polishers, my polishers all have burnishers. So, if something were to come up, they incur a pit on the outside, maybe they need to polish it a couple times. It's always better to be a little shy at the end and have to come up a little than be over the size. Once you're over the size, well then you got to cut it and size it. Okay, so we'll leave that one a little shy. What do we got next? We have this bad boy. Okay, let's burnish the inside again. White gold is a little different. This one has a flat inside, but not terribly wide. So still easy to process. When you get really wide shanks in hard metals like white gold, those start to take extra work. Sometimes you even have to get a little creative. Sand it close to being flat before you take a burnisher to it. Also, you have to make sure that the edge of the burnisher doesn't create lines when you've got a really wide shank. None of those problems exist with this. This is easy. If you're practicing burnishing and just starting to learn, you should do it on rings like this. Nice 3.5 millimeters here, nothing too hard. Okay, now the inside is evenly burnished. And let's sand it and check it. I'm right on top of my vacuum so that all of my precious metals get captured. We're getting pretty close there. By the time I finish rounding it, yeah, we're pretty much there. Can strike the white gold harder because it can take it. Also, this is flat on the inside, so flat, it's touching the mandrel, more surface area, you can give it more force without flattening it or distorting it. What we do to the one side, we do to the other. Check it again, should be good. Right there, less than a millimeter to go. Okay, next. This one's a little different. This one's 18 yellow. We have to be very careful. Okay, it's going up to 6.5. It's already over the 6.25 mark. Just gonna burnish this one. In fact, if I wanted to be careful, I could burnish it with a fine burnisher. It's getting a little close for such a soft metal. I think I'm okay with the medium, but barely. Nice thing about work hardening a metal like 18, well, there's a lot of benefits, but some of the obvious ones are once you burnish the metal thoroughly, it work hardens it and the ring is not as easily bent or warped. It takes a polish easier and does not dent or scratch as easily. So just a whole host of benefits to burnishing the soft metals, especially a super soft metal like 18 yellow. This alloy, because it has copper, is also heat treatable. We've done a little bit of that in the past to harden the alloy up. Also, messing with quench times during casting will also have the same effect. Okay. So we're all burnished on the inside, nice and even. Let's check it again. Getting very close. In fact, if we just feather touch on this, so easy to bend. You can see how close we're starting to get here. Within a millimeter. On a thin shank like this, I really just don't want to get any closer. Like I said, I'd rather be under than over. Do the same to the other side. Sand it one more time. And we're done. Okay, so now the rings are rounded the way that I want. Now let's go to desprue and what we do post desprue. So I always start with my coarse file. I prefer to hold my rings. We can use a ring clamp. In fact, a ring clamp is often helpful. I don't often use one, only because I feel like I've got greater feel with my hand. But, okay, so what we're looking to do, filing here. We're using the edges of the sprue as a guide, and we want to make sure that we know what the shank is supposed to do. In this case, the shank is half round, but only slightly. just a tiny little dome in the middle. Okay, so keeping our hands stable, we eliminate the line on one side. We eliminate a line on the other side. And we blend it. Now, this is my coarse file. This I just use for removing the bulk of the sprue. Once I get down to the surface, I want to use a finer file. This is number 2. I'm going to go to my number 3 half round file. Okay, check the profile, looking pretty good. Check this side, I got a little extra. And blend with sandpaper. Check the profile. Looks pretty good. I like it. Next. This one, I'm not going to use the ring clamp. I'm just going to hold it in my hand. Okay. Start with my number 2 file. Start at the edge of the sprue. Take that down. Again, this has just a slighter, even slighter curve to it. Almost flat. Okay. One side gone. Do the other side. Blend it. Looking good on that side. Got a little extra on this side. Take it down a little bit more. Looking good. Switch to my finer file. I don't want to leave any deep scratches in the ring. Even if I did though, I'll be shortly taking them out with my burnisher. Got a little extra metal on the corner right there. File it off and check the profile. Make sure it looks straight inside and out. Okay. Now, oh, we got one more, don't we? One more D-sprue. Start at the edge. This one is actually a knife edge, so process one side at a time. Try to continue the contour of the knife edge. Pretty straightforward on where to go. Switch to my finer file. I'm getting very close to being done. Notice the motion of my hand mimics the shape of the ring. Good. A little more. Blend it. Now, if I've left a little extra, you can see a tiny bit of extra there. That will easily come off with the burnisher, and I can finish shaping it with the burnisher. And why would I do that? Well, I can be much more precise working under high magnification than I can just with just my regular old eyes. So, that is ready to go. Now, let's talk about what I'm going to do when I burnish the outside. On the soft metal, that's a no-brainer. We're going to use the fine burnisher. We're going to use the fine burnisher here on both sides, and we're going to use the fine burnisher on the knife edge. In addition, when I'm doing the side, you want to be careful. This is the fine burnisher. I'm going to be careful never to pitch it in. If you make a mistake, you always want to be pitched out. Sometimes if a ring is pitched in, I won't even burnish it. I won't pitch the burnisher in because it creates more trouble than it's worth. This one is flat to slightly pitched out, so I will watch the ring as it shines under magnification to make sure that I am pitched properly, my tool and my ring. Okay? This one, I'm going to use a medium burnisher on the side because it's not perfectly flat. I'm going to use a medium burnisher on the back because it's relatively wide and it's a hard metal, and same on the other side. If I choose to, I could also, in addition on this one, use my ultrasonic burnisher on the prongs, but that's really just whipped cream and nuts. That's extra. Okay, this one. This is flat, a nice flat edge in a soft metal. Because rose is relatively soft, I am going to choose to use the fine burnisher. Especially, same goes here, because it's got a tiny bit of a curve to it. Yeah, and those should all work relatively easily. All right, so I'm going to burnish, probably continue to speak here and there, but you won't be able to see what my hands are doing.